All right. Live stream Friday from Firestorm, Oregon. So actually, if this seems orange, that's not by accident. It's very orange outside right now, as it is, I'm sure, across the entire West Coast, down to the Bay Area, and everywhere else. So today we're gonna do a live version of the video that almost nobody saw, which was on Module Federation plugins, and I think I understand why that was. I actually accidentally published it at the same time that I did the full React course, and so it kind of got lost in like the flood of notifications that went out. And I've tried promoting it a little bit on Hey Discal. I've tried promoting it on Twitter and LinkedIn, but didn't seem to be much use. But I think it's exciting. I'm excited about it. I'm a huge fan of what's called the adapter pattern, which is basically plugins. It's a gang of four reference to one of their design patterns called the adapter. And the idea is that you make essentially an API surface, and then you've got a bunch of different switchable plugins that you can put into that API surface. Classic example in the real world is an SLR camera, right? You've got basically the body, which would be your app, and then you've got lenses, which are these interchangeable things that you can put in, and you can get different, looks out of different types of lenses. For example, this lens that you're on right now is a 28 millimeter, gives you a nice wide view. There's a 50 millimeter that gives you a nice like close up, changes the I guess the sizing and the amount of depth of field and whatnot. So pretty cool stuff. So, all right, glad to have whoever's alive on here, and let's get after it. Let's have some fun. Let's write some code. So, all right, I'm gonna jump over here to the terminal. Oh wait, actually no. Let's start off with the code. So, or with the plugin system. So, what we're gonna use is this MF plugins repo. It's got our library. It's got not many weekly downloads, which is fine. And then we're going to use that through the two different applications. We're going to have the host template. In this case, the host is what's going to consume the plugins, and then we'll have multiple plugins based on this plugin template. So the first thing we'll do is just create a very simple CLI app. Hi, Ahmed. Nice to have you back. And then we'll maybe, I don't know. So we have two different options, I guess, here, or three if you want. In the video, we did an Express server where you could go and snap in new routes using plugins. We could also do a GraphQL extensible server if that's interesting to you. I don't know how many folks on the channel use GraphQL. I use it extensively. But in a GraphQL server, we would essentially have types and resolvers as part of those plugins. And then the GraphQL server host would merge all that into one big schema, and so you could essentially just add new elements to your schema just by adding new plugins. So let me know in the comments which way you want to go on that, and of course, any questions that you have along the way, I'm down for that. Hope all the AV is working for you guys, and let's get after it. So first thing I'm going to do is clone a couple of these repos. So I'm going to use dgit, which is that nice little handy npx function. So let's go and make ourselves a let's see, pluggable CLI. Let's just start with a pluggable starter. So, and if we make multiple things, we'll go and add that in there. All right, and then we'll use npx dgit with that host template and call it host. All right, pretty simple. And now we need a plugin, so let's go and get at least one of those. Same idea here. And we'll just call plugin 1. Cool. So let's go have a look at what we've got in there. Hopefully that's readable. I think that's probably a nice font size for you, depending on where you're looking. Come on, bring it to the terminal. Why isn't that terminal? New terminal. There we go. Okay, so let's go over to our host and take a look. So host is going to bring in this load plugins from this MF plugins library. It's going to say hello unconditionally, and then it's going to start up an async pattern an async function, which is going to await load plugins. So that's a promise. So, and load plugins is going to go looking in this parent directory for a directory called plugins. Want to do that because we want to make sure that Webpack wouldn't go and bind the current plugins into the package. Hey, Alex, good to see you. Welcome back. All right, and then with each one of these plugins, we're going to iterate over those. We get the plugin, and we just call sample. So what is sample? Let's go over to plugin 1. And if we look at the index, hey, that's not right. That's the starter. Okay, well, let's fix that. Plugin 1, let's get rid of that. So how did I end up with that? Let's see. Did I just not paste it or something? And copy. All right. npx dget as plugin 1. Hey, that's better. Okay, so this is all there is to the plugin. Basically, we're going to export a function off of module exports called sample, and it's going to give us a console log. Let's just change that to, hey, from plugin 1. And now we just have to basically build that. So let's go in there, and we'll do yarn, and then yarn build. And we'll see pop up over here a plugins directory. Plugins directory now has a /plugin1 subdirectory. See a little bit more clearly if I go down here to plugins. Kind of it does a nice little thing where it rolls up directories in VS Code if you have only one subdirectory, but whatever. Anyway, so that's got our main and our remote entry as we're used to in Module Federation land, and then the source for that amazing index file there. And so you're getting a couple of things already out of this. One, you are seeing how to use Webpack to actually build a CLI app, which is interesting, right? So let's actually go over and look at the mechanics of that. And let me turn off my notifications. Apparently I need to take my car in for service on Monday. That's going to be interesting. In the middle of a firestorm and a pandemic. Okay, so let's go take a look at that. So over here in our package JSON, we've got a build, which is called Webpack. And the Webpack in this case has a target of node. So this is basically when for example, like Next.js is doing its Webpack, it's going to have basically a Webpack config for the client, which is going to be using, you know, the sort of standard target, you know, maybe common.js or whatever. And then on the server, it's going to have a target of node, so that it's just basically standard node code that's been wrapped in Webpack, and that's going to allow us in this case to use module federation. So in this case, we have a module federation plugin. We name it plugin 1. The library type we now say is common.js. That's important in this case. Same remote entry as always, and then we take that, we expose /plugin. So every plugin is going to expose something called /plugin, and pointing to wherever that's going to go, and then any dependencies that we've got. So let us build that. Oh, we've already built it. Cool. So let's go over here to host then, and bring up another terminal, and go into host. Do the same thing. So we've yarned it, and now we're going to yarn build it. Now in this case, what this is going to do for us is build a new directory called dist, because that's the default output for Webpack, right, is the dist directory. There's a lot of stuff that's going on in here that's defaulted. We default the mode of development, same thing again, node, and then just the usual entry point, and we then say that we don't want it to look at that plugins folder. And let's try this out. So we're going to then start it by, let's take a look in dist, and we have a main. So let's go dist main.js, and cool. So what that's done is that has, let's go back to our source, and that's loaded those plugins, which in this case is just plugin 1. It said hello, which we can see down here, and all right, it imported the load plugins. It hasn't actually done it yet, and then it starts up. That start is an async function. So the first thing it's going to do is await the load of the plugins, which is going to happen off this directory over here, /plugins. And then it gets back an array, and then it calls that sample function. So if I was to go at this point and change that So hello from plugin 2. Wow. Wowzers. We'll do that again. And then we'll go back here to plugin 1 and say yarn build, which is going to overwrite the plugin over here real fast. And then I run that again. Now I get the updated plugin code without changing the host, right? So this is that adapter pattern. This is that incredibly loose coupling between the host app that consumes these plugins and and requests essentially an API surface from the plugin, and then those plugins that satisfy that API service and do whatever you want with it. Cool. So that is the basic mechanics of it. And we can go all kinds of different directions at this point. What we did in the video, in the original Wednesday video, was to go and make a server out of that. We could do the same thing, but I think, I don't know, might be more interesting to try something different. Might be more interesting to try like a GraphQL server. If that sounds exciting to you, be sure to drop that in the comments. Seems like a pretty easy day in the comments. Also, by the way, so after this, I'm going to do yet another get to know you meetup, not recorded at all. You can just show up, say hi, ask me any questions you want. I just want to meet you, you know. So if you have the time, drop on by after this, and we'll meet up. Again, not recorded, so easy peasy. Okay. So what do we want to do? Well, I should have some code off to the side on this one, so I'm gonna kind of be looking through that as we go, because I'm not good enough to do this with nothing. So I think we want, let's see. In fact, I'm just gonna bring it in so I can see it. We're gonna want Apollo server and merge GraphQL schemas. So let's go grab those, and I'll just walk you through this code. So let's go take a look. All right, so we're gonna go over here. We already have load plugins. So we need Apollo server and GQL. I hope you guys are familiar with GraphQL. It's awesome. So over here in host, then we're going to want to go and add Apollo server. Oops. And merge GraphQL schemas, because that's basically the two things we're going to do, right? We're going to have essentially a base schema for, you know, whatever is sort of the core mechanics of the server. And then we're going to have the plugins go and add additional resolvers and type definitions so that they are then merged using merge GraphQL schemas and merge types and merge resolvers into one big schema that we can then serve. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is specify what our types are for the base server itself to give ourselves something to merge into. I'm going to kill that. And in this case, I'm just going to have a query for info on the server, the version of the server. So basically, if there are no plugins, you'll at least get this info query, which is going to give you back the version of the server. Let's create some resolvers for that. By the way, did anybody see the Dune trailer? Super excited for that. That looks awesome. Very, very excited for that. I love Denis Villeneuve and his movies like Blade Runner 2049. Just great stuff. And I was blown away by the fact they tried to take on Dune. It's been tried a couple of times and mixed success. But it's been awesome. Okay, so so now we got our start down here. So the first thing we need to do is grab an array of type defs. So create an array of the type definitions. So we're going to start off with just that. And then the plugins are going to keep on adding on to this array. Same sort of thing with the resolvers. So we've got essentially our basic resolvers. Yeah. Oh, foundation. Oh, really? They're doing Asimov's foundation? That's crazy. Oh my God. Whoa. Okay. Okay, so we're going to avoid calling the plugins for the moment. Let's just put that, let's stick a pin in that, because we're not going to get there yet. And then we'll create the server by just calling up Apollo server and then merging again those types, right? So we're going to have that type defs array, and we're going to have the resolvers array. Hey Jordan, we're creating a pluggable GraphQL server and and then talking sci-fi, by the way. So apparently, I'm super excited about Dune. Alex is super excited about that, and also Foundation, which I didn't know was coming out. That would be Asimov's Foundation series. Asimov is interesting, right? It's like there's been some derivative work, like iRobot. It's been good, mixed, I guess. Okay, so now that we have a server, right, we want to go and start it up, fire it up. So let's try that. And I think I just copy and pasted this code from the Apollo server webpage. You know, nothing too exciting. And it basically, you know, listen starts, creates a promise. That promise resolves to a URL, and there you go. Okay, so I think because we don't care right now about the plugins, I think this is actually safe to run. So let's try that out. And I think, we did the yarn ads, right? Okay, so I think we're probably good. So let's build that. I'm excited. This is all new content. Okay, that's not good. So why isn't that working? Can't resolve UTF-8 validate. Okay. I think I remember this from when I did it the first time. There's a couple of dependencies that the GraphQL stuff has that aren't listed, and Webpack 5 is a lot more of a stickler about that than Webpack 4 was. So, all right, this one is encoding. Let's try it one more time. Hey, it worked. Got some warnings, but that's fine. I think it worked. Let's go take a look. Yeah, a bunch of warnings. Fine, whatever. Be that way. Okay, so now that we've got that, let's run it again. Same way we did before. Fantastic. Awesome. Okay. Oh, hey, that's not good. Okay, so let me go and clean this up. Yes. Oh, yeah. Super stoked for Foundation. Yeah. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go over here and grab this package.json. So the whole realms thing, when it comes to this, is a little weird. Let's see. So go back over here to package.json, paste that in there, and I'm just gonna remove all my node modules and yarn install again. It just means that there's multiple instances of GraphQL rolling around, and some of the code is using one way and some of the code is using other ways. What are realms, right? It's the weirdest thing ever. Like, what is a realm? Yeah, so it turns out that, like, Apollo includes GraphQL, but some other modules also include GraphQL, maybe at a different version. And because you've got the different versions, they are technically different GraphQL libraries, and it considers them in different. That's the error message that GraphQL, that I think the Apollo folks came up with, was the different realms thing. So I don't know, boy. Where I think we're moving from, really? No, just be nice now. Okay, well, you know what? Yeah, right? Exactly. I'm just going to go over to this guy, because this actually works, as far as I recall. So, hey, look at that. It's like going in one of those cooking shows. And off to the side, they put the thing in the oven, and the next thing you know, they're like, done! Ding! Isn't it beautiful? It's so good. All right, let's try this one. So this is almost exactly the same thing, but I actually use the plugin. So let's do the ding thing. Yarn build again. Oops, let's do yarn. I did RMFR. You think so? Okay, well let's try that. Let's go back and let's try that. I'm RMFR node modules. You're probably right. Okay, so let's do that again. See if we can get it to work. I really don't want to do the ding thing unless I have to. So, the ding thing. Nope. It's not the ding thing. I don't know why. Sorry about that. You know, live coding, right? This is literally, like, every day is the demo gods. All right. Oh, it's because I'm not in anything. All right, sorry about that. So let's go into server. Oops, not RM for sure. And have I already built this? Okay, there's no... Okay. Yarn build. Okay, let's do yarn. All right. This is what I get for trying something new in a... okay, dist main. Hey, okay. So I'll publish this code to GitHub. How about that? So here we go. There we go. So, okay, let's take a look at this. So if we go back in time to this guy, so all we should have is the server info. So let's go and run that query. And let's see what we got. Info, which I think it should just have version. So that's going to call this resolver right here and do that for us, which is great. So now let's go and make a plugin for that. Haha. Going back into the kitchen with the ding. And that plugin interface is going to be pretty simple. It's going to have it's going to return a typedef string and then a resolver object, which has a query in it and that Pokemon. And that maps to this query and this Pokemon. So let's also go and, whoops, build this guy out because we should in another window. And then we can change it. We can show you, I can show you how we can mutate the, the schema with these plugins, which is really cool. So again, we were yarning there. And this is an interesting one, right? So this actually has no dependencies on GraphQL because all it's doing is just giving you some functions. It's just giving you a text template and some functions, right? You don't actually need anything to do. It's GraphQL is all managed by the server. All you're doing is giving it some text string and a function. Okay, so now that that's yarned, let's build that. And let's make some changes, just so that I know that we're up to date with the changes. Let's see, Pokemon, Pikachu, and I don't know, who knows? This is like the ones I know. You know, Jackasaur. Right? And we'll get rid of the rest. That's so we'll know that this is actually working. So again, we'll build that out. And then we'll run our server again. And in this time, we'll go and grab Pokemon, which will have name. And there you go. So now we're updating automatically based on those plugins. And in the original video, I actually Dockerized all that so that the server itself was Dockerized. And then you mount into the / plugins directory all the plugins that you wanted to run. And so you kind of had this nice generic Dockerized server that it was pluggable. I thought that was kind of cool. So feel free to watch that video and do that. Now, shall we go and add another plugin? I mean, just to show you how that's done. So that doesn't require changing the server yet. So let's go make another shell. And we'll go back over here and we'll say, do a recursive. Oh, hey, what the heck happened there? Let's go. There we go. All right, there we go. Yeah, thank you, Jordan. It is super cool. I really am a fan of pluggable architectures, I gotta say. As long as there's good debugging around it, I'm a huge fan of pluggable architectures. So we'll call this one plugin 2. You don't have to use names like plugin 1, plugin 2. I just do, because it's easy. So now we've got plugin 2. Let's go and fix up the package JSON. Sure. And let's go fix up the Webpack. Plugin 2. Now we're going to keep plugin because that's the contract. Same position. And let's see. What's the subscribers or viewers? How about that? And I don't know. We'll call it usernames. And and it's an array of strings. Oh wait, hold on. Usernames. Oh wait, sorry. Username is a string. What am I thinking? Okay, so the type is viewers, viewer, and we're gonna have viewers, which returns a list of viewers. I don't know how familiar you guys are with GraphQL. I hope if you haven't seen this before, that you're learning something new. So when again, I manage that query, viewers, and in this case, we're going to return usernames. So who do we have? We have got Alex. We've got Jordan. And let me go Dead Skull 21 and Ahmed. All right, Dead Skull 21 and all right, there we go. That's everybody who's been posting so far. Okay, so again, I think we're just gonna remove the node modules because sometimes those go stale. I don't know under what circumstances those go stale, but sometimes copying a node modules directories works. Other times it doesn't. I think it's about like the complexity. Maybe there's like some building stuff on there. There's some cross-linking that doesn't copy. Okay, so now according to myth and legend, we should have another plugins directory, which we don't. That's interesting. So let's go take a look and see why that is. So, oh, I know why that is. Whoops. Yeah, okay. So oops. That's not good. Now I've got to go rebuild plugin 1. My bad. Didn't mean to overwrite you there, plugin 1. Nothing personal. Okay, so now we got 2 plugins, plugin 1, plugin 2. Now the server hasn't been rebooted, so it hasn't gone and looked at that again. So if I were to go over here to this, even if I were to refresh, you're not going to see any new schema data yet. It's still just got info and Pokemon. So let's try, whoops. Let's try over here, rerunning it. So now it's rerun, essentially, its scan of that plugins directory. We'll refresh again to get the new schema. And if I do command space, I now see that we have viewers. And we'll go get their usernames. Nice. And I can even, in the same query, go get all my Pokemon. So I can call 2 different plugins simultaneously using GraphQL, which is great. I love GraphQL. It's really good stuff. So you'll have that code that you can play around with that clearly handles the realms thing okay. I think the problem is that I've been kind of avoiding the fact that these, and I wouldn't have avoided that if I'd done like this is the primary video, but these live streams are much more experimental. I think this merge GraphQL schema is actually deprecated, and there's a merger I think in the Apollo stuff. So and I couldn't get the code right to use it, so I ended up using this one, and I think that's where this realmy thing is coming from. So maybe I'll try and figure that out because I need things to distract me from the fact that I'm living in a forest fire at the moment. Okay, so yeah. Any questions, comments? I'm down for anything at the moment. And if we want to wrap this up, then we can certainly jump over to the meetup and talk in person if you want to. I think it's exciting. Thanks for helping me keep my sanity. I really appreciate that. Yeah, having things like this in my life and things I need to do like this or want to do is really helping me kind of keep sane. All right. Well, yeah. So obviously, for those showing up later and not watching the live stream live, feel free to drop any comments and suggestions you want, any comments or questions you have. Go put those in the comment section. Like and share, and of course, subscribe if you haven't already. There is a newsletter I should keep talking about. I'm sure there's a link in the description. And of course, be happy, be healthy, and be safe. So for those who are here live, I'm going to put in the Google Meetup, and let's jump on over there. And as I say, not recorded. Just jump on, say hello, total, ask me anything, and we'll have some fun. All right. See you in a bit. See you soon, like in a minute.